I just see Vim as being a great productivity tool in terms of navigating text. And why I think that's important is that if you think about the work we do in a commercial setting, is that we spend a lot of our time actually refactoring existing code, looking for bugs or improvements, much more so than we do writing new code. And so I think the more efficient you can be in navigating around text and navigating your source code, the more efficient you're going to be overall as a developer. And so my position is learning Vim, not necessarily to replace your IDE or to replace whatever your favorite text editor is. I see it as a means of adding another tool in your toolkit to be more productive. If you think about your typical workflow, you probably use your IDE for most of your editing. And now and again, if you need to edit a config file, you might quickly jump in and use something like Nano more than likely to do some quick editing, especially if you're on a Unix-based platform. And what I'm suggesting is rather than using Nano, to use Vim instead, and to see Vim as being your training ground for learning how to navigate text more efficiently. And the idea being that as you build up your skills in navigating text with Vim, eventually there'll come a point where you think, you know what, I want to start using that in my main IDE. And so that's kind of the path I'd suggest to you, especially if you're a junior developer, because it's a skill that can really literally accompany you through your entire career. And so think of it as I'm replacing Nano with Vim because I want to make Vim my training ground so that later on I can use it in my IDE. So have that mindset. So what I hear quite often is, well, there's a steep learning curve there and I just want to use Nano to get some jobs done quickly. And what I want to show you now is how you can really quickly replace Nano with Vim. There's no special skills or talent required. You don't really have to remember anything. It's really quick and easy, and you'll see that with these couple of tips, you can throw out Nano, never use it again, and start building up your Vim skills, because then you'll end up being a more productive developer. Let's get into it. Okay, let's have a look now on how we can get started with learning Vim commands that we can then later on use in our IDE. First of all, let's have a look here. I'm up in my Bash console, and I want to edit a file. And so to edit a file, I'll just issue the Vim command. So it's VIM, and then I want to open the package.json file and do some edits there. And then I press enter and Vim will open that file for me. If I want to navigate around that file now, I can use the cursor keys just as I would do in Nano. And obviously that's not really the Vim way of doing things, but for the sake of this first video, let's just make Vim work the same as Nano. And so Vim will have different modes of operation to suit different types of work. And Vim makes a difference between moving around text and actually doing a heavy editing. And in Vim, if you want to do any kind of heavy editing, you want to go in something called insert mode. And to get into insert mode, you press the letter I. And so if I press I, Vim now tells me I've changed modes by showing me a clue down here in the bottom left corner that I'm in insert mode. And when I'm in insert mode, Vim behaves exactly like any other text editor that you've probably traditionally used, something like Nano. And so just like I would do in Nano, I can now navigate with the cursor keys. And I can use all my normal editing keys. So I can just backspace in here and I can change the name to something else. And as you can see, all my normal editing that I'd like to do now works just as normal. Now to escape out of the insert mode and put me back into what Vim calls the normal mode, which is the mode you use to navigate around a document. To escape out of the insert mode, you'd press the escape key. So if I press escape, I can see now Vim's removed the insert mode hint down the bottom left. And if there's nothing showing the bottom left here, that's a clue that you're now in normal mode. And so I'm back in moving around. Now, Vim's got many, many modes. The other mode that's really important to know about is the terminal mode, or the console mode, how Vim likes to call it. To get into console mode, you press the colon key. And once you do that, you get this little terminal down here in the bottom corner. And now it works the same like any other kind of terminal you might be familiar with, like Bash or ZSH or PowerShell, for example, in that you can issue commands. Now, Vim tries to be as fast as you possibly can, so a lot of the Vim commands are in fact just single letters. But before we get into them, I also just want to quickly show you how you can get some help. And so if I need help on something, I've opened up our dialog or the terminal with the colon key press. And now if I want help, I can just type in help, H-E-L-P. And because it's a terminal, I press enter. And now Vim pops up help on the top here. What I can see here is the first steps you need to know to learning about Vim. However, to get out of the help mode, again, we want to go to the terminal, so it's colon. and we want to quit out of the help. And to quit out of the help, it's the command Q. So Q is for quit. So we put in Q, we press enter, and we've exited the help. Now, just want to show you that Vim also tries to stop you from losing changes. And so if you wanted to quit out of the current editor, again, we go to the terminal or the console with the colon key. Down the bottom here, I can see the prompt. I put in Q and I press enter. And look, Vim's noticed that I've made changes to the file, and Vim is now saying, hang on, I'm not going to exit and lose your changes. So if I wanted to exit and lose all my changes, what I could do is I go back to the console mode, I press Q, and Vim has already told me that what I wanted to do is to add the exclamation mark to override. Yeah? So it says no write since last change, add exclamation mark to override. Let's do that now. Put in Q, I'll put in the override, and now Vim will exit without saving my changes. So I'll press enter now. Vim's exited, and if I reopen that file, sure enough, all my changes have been lost. I just want to quickly show you just a little taste for some of the Vim commands and the power it gives you in editing. If I wanted to change the text inside of these quotes, rather than going and deleting them all like I did with nano, in our nano example just before, I can use some Vim commands to change inside quotes. And so what you can do in Vim, I can just press C for change, I for inside, and quotes for change inside quotes. And if I do that, if I do that now and I put CI quotes, Vim's now deleted all the text inside the quotes and has put me automatically into insert mode down here. And so I can just start typing, this is a new name, and I can press escape to go back to normal mode, and I've now changed the contents inside the quotes. I just wanted to show you that. That's just one little taste of some of the power you can get with these commands. But let's stay focused on replacing nano with Vim. The final thing I want to show you is how to save your changes. And so again, we go into the terminal mode by pressing the colon or the console mode. Down here, we can see we've got my prompt. I want to write the file, which is W. And after I've written the file, I want to quit. And I press enter, and that's all there is to it. And so if I have a look at that file now, if I, let's open this file in a different program, and I can see up here that my changes have been saved. That's all there is to it. So there you have it. So there's no more excuses now to use Nano. You can start using Vim. And if you're following my series, please subscribe and like this video. I'll start showing you more and more tips in getting productive with Vim. And once we've built up our muscle memory, we'll be ready to install a Vim plugin in our IDE. And then we can bring all the skills that we've learned to whatever new modern IDE we're using. Hope that's been useful. As I said, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video.